We welcome you back to Oakland, California. The Rays and the Oakland A's in the second game of this series. Rays starting the day 2 games back in the American League East, trailing the Red Sox. Boston 2 in front of the Rays, and New York starting the day 3.5 back. So the Rays looking to keep pace and perhaps gain some ground in the East. And this is the lineup they put together, presented by your Southern Ford dealer. Steven Souza Jr. is going to be in the leadoff spot, followed by Corey Dickerson and Evan Longoria. Morrison, Ramos, and Miller down the middle. Echeverria hits 7th place shortstop. Shane Peterson in left. Peter Borges is in center field tonight. He will hit 9th.
Well, and right-hander Chris Smith is making his second career major league start. He has had quite the winding road through professional baseball, but his last time out was a start against the Mariners, first time ever at the big league level. 6 innings, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts, and a no decision in a game that the A's would go on to win.
And so here we are, Steven Souza Jr. taking the first pitch, and that's a ball too low. Souza hit a home run last night, his 19th of the year, which represents a single season career high for him as he faces the 36-year-old right-hander. Strike, it's 1-1. Souza struck early his first time up in the second inning last night. Got a fastball in and hit it out of here. 1-2.
Well, that's what you're going to see from Chris Smith. He is not an overpowering pitcher at all. That fastball is going to sit right around there, 86 miles an hour, curveball, changeup, slider to go along with it. But the Rays, you know, you're so used to seeing guys nowadays with plus stuff. It will be imperative for this lineup to be patient, not to get jumpy with Chris Smith because of, you know, the fastball not being 94, 95.
Well, it's certainly something different if you're used to, particularly these days when it seems everybody's in that 95, give or take a tick or two, all around there when it comes to velocity. And Chris Smith is anything but that right now.
He's the right-handed Jason Vargas. True finesse righty, a rarity in the game today.
And Souza is out on strikes.
And did you see how far out in front he was? And that's what you're going to have to do. This Rays lineup, as this game moves forward, and they're going to have to discipline themselves. You're not going to get beat by the fastball, so you're going to have to try and stay back. And you can see how far out in front Souza was on this breaking ball.
And he'll get a little depth on that knuckle curve he throws. Souza not happy to start the game this way. Well, here's Corey Dickerson. Braves originally had him listed in the leadoff spot, and they made a last-second switch. They had Dickerson first and Souza second, and decided when they exchanged lineup cards to flip those two. So Souza's leading off, and Dickerson in the second spot. I
had heard, see, even that changeup got to stay back. It's going to be difficult for these guys to make that adjustment. But Dwayne, it was a late game of best of 3 rock paper scissors, and Dickerson pulled it out in the 3rd game. He went paper over rock. Always beats rock.
Takes this one inside, 2-1. One is wide, 3-1. First time the Rays have seen Smith as a starting pitcher. They did see him out of the bullpen a few years ago. He went 6 years between big league appearances. And Dickerson with that 3-1 off speed pitch again out in front.
75-mile-an-hour changeup off of the 86-mile-an-hour fastball. Almost like a palm ball. And he just as much as you're trying to wait back, it's extremely difficult. You just don't see this look very often.
And strike 3 called right down. Dickerson thought that pitch was low. Milwaukee calls him out. 2 up, 2 down.
Well, right out over the heart of the plate. It was a fastball, and it was right at the bottom of the zone. This is one of those borderline pitches that could go either way. And this may have been a little bit low, but when they're close and you leave it into the hands of the umpire, sometimes it's going to bite you.
Here's Evan Longoria. He takes a fastball for a strike. Evan with his 10-game hitting streak. 14 home runs, including 1 last night. Flips a fly ball into right. Davis out there toward the line. Makes the catch. 3 up, 3 down go the Rays. Bottom of the first coming up. No score. Of the first inning, and the lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Rajay Davis will lead off in right, followed by Marcus Semien, the shortstop, and Ryan Healy, who's playing first tonight, hitting third. Chris Davis, the cleanup man. The DH is Jed Lowry. Matt Chapman at third. Adam Rosales at second, hits seventh. The catcher Josh Begley hits eighth. Jacob Bruckman is in center field again tonight, hitting ninth.
Well, looking to take that next step here tonight. Left-hander Blake Snell taking the mound for the Rays. 11th start of the season. His last time out was against the Cubs before the break, obviously. 5 innings, had 4 walks in that game, but did not give up a run. And it was something that Blake Snell thought that he could build off of. And it certainly has had time to think about that and come out here tonight with the idea of making some things happen, getting deeper into the game. That is the #1 goal.
Davis, and the first pitch to him is a fastball at 95 wide. And that's been the issue for Blake Snell as he attempts to turn the corner. 1-1. Won 6 games last year, 6-8, and 0-5 this year.
Well, and when you are able to get deeper into a game, obviously you're pitching well, #1, you give yourself a better chance to win that game. And then obviously, you know, your team gets a win on top of it. Blake Snell still looking for his first W of the season.
And he's ahead of Davis, 1-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Really getting ahead and staying that way in the count and limiting pitch count. The hurdle he's trying to master. Little ground ball rolled through the right side and a base hit for Davis.
Well, Rajai Davis, like a leadoff man right there, just trying to put the ball in play. And Blake Snell drives a pitch downhill, looked to be a changeup, and right there, Rajai Davis just gets the barrel to it and finds an opening on the right side. Nothing you could do about that.
So Davis, and always a threat to run, 15 out of 19 in that department this year with Oakland.
See him extending that lead. Thing is Blake is pretty quick to the plate. There's not a whole lot of action out there on the base paths when he's pitching.
Strike the count to Semien.
Boy, nasty slider right there. And I'll tell you, Blake right now, so far, I love the downhill angle that he's creating. I mean, with the fastball, even the changeup that Davis hit, and that slider right there, he's able to repeat that. Has a chance to have a nice night.
The pitch down, blocked by Ramos back there. 1-2.
And you know what? He was able to keep it close enough, number one, but number two, Davis out there at first base kind of froze as if he was trying to time up Blake Snell. He didn't get a good secondary lead, and therefore when the ball ended up in the dirt, right now usually you're taking off. You're a leadoff guy and you see the ball's going to be that far in front of the plate, you are already headed to second base, but because he was frozen, forced him to stay over at first.
And a toss over there.
That's one thing that you can read as a base runner over at first base is the trajectory of the pitch. And if you see it's heading into the dirt, especially in front of the plate, you are off and running. Going to be almost impossible to pick it and throw you out.
And Davis started a little move to widen it, and the toss over there, he's back in. Davis had 43 steals last year with the Indians, was caught only 6 times. And that pitch upstairs. Quick delivery there, and the count is 2-2.
Well, he definitely has the attention of Blake Snell. He played a little cat and mouse game with him over there at first base, and Blake's last 2 pitches have been wide misses. 1 down, 1 up.
Runner goes, a swing and a miss. Throw right on the money, but it's not going to be in time. And a stolen base for Rajai Davis as Semien strikes out.
One of the best in the game right now. Davis, base stealer. You talked about the 43 a year ago. He did a really nice job of getting the timing of Blake Snell, testing him, and then right here, ready to go, off and running. And even Blake being quick to the plate, and a nice throw by Ramos wasn't even nearly close to being in time.
You know, he had that big, not only that big home run for the Indians in the World Series, but he had a 3 stolen base game and became the oldest man in World Series history to steal 3 bases in a game. Now he's after third, and there will be no throw. So a base hit, a steal of second, and a steal of third.
How about that? Blake Snell had given up 1 stolen base in 1 attempt. That's all. And here in the last, I don't know, minute and a half, he's doubled that. Davis gets second, and boy, oh boy, right here at third, he gets a great jump, and Ramos, that ball came popping out of there as he's going to try to rush a throw. Probably didn't have a chance to get him either.
Right on that one. And the count is 0-2 to Healy.
Well, now you think about the strikeout and then just retire the next hitter.
And Davis third on the active list of stolen base leaders. Ramos. It's 1-2. Well, all of this on that little base hit that got through the right side. And then a steal of second, followed up by a steal of third. Up the right side, a foul ball. That's going to be out of the reach of Souza Jr. and down in front of the bullpen. And a cut and a miss. Boy, big strikeout there for the young left-hander.
Well, it was great sequencing. You know, he was down with the slider, then raises up with the fastball, and then comes right back down. Really messing with the eye levels of Ryan Healy, and gets a swing like that. Wilson Ramos is able to pick it there on the short hop, and that is a big strikeout because now you're just worried about get the hitter out by any means necessary and get out of this inning unscathed.
So Davis hit third with 2 gone. Here is Chris Davis, who carries with him 26 home runs into the batter's box and hits a high fly ball straight away center. Borges will go to the wall, and that one is out of here. A tremendous shot back into center field on the first pitch. And Oakland takes a 2-0 lead. Well, we saw him last night connect, hitting one out to center field in the 4th inning. And he hits a 2-run blast to center here in the 1st tonight.
Just his 2nd home run off of a left-handed pitcher this season. And that looked to be an off-speed pitch. And, you know, those are always dangerous. When you don't have a long history against a guy and you go first pitch off speed out over the plate, it's off speed off of what? It ends up becoming basically just a BP fastball. And Chris Davis destroyed it. And Hayes lead.
Now Lowry behind that pitch. Fastball around 96, and it's 1-1. Two and one. Two. And a swing and a miss. He strikes out Lowry. 3 strikeouts in the inning, but a 2-run home run as well at the end of an inning. 2-0 Oakland.
This moment
2-0 lead. Let's set that Oakland defense for you. Brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source. And in the outfield left to right, we're going to have Davis, Brugman, and Rajai Davis. Across the infield third to first, Matt Chapman, Marcus Semien, Adam Rosales, and Ryan Healy with Josh Begley behind the plate.
And Logan Morrison leads off for the Rays, taking the pitch for a ball. Breaking pitch there. 1-0 the count. Morrison, Ramos, and Miller. 2-0 Rays facing Chris Smith, 36-year-old right-hander. He made his major league debut back in June of 2008 with the Red Sox at Fenway Park. In fact, Kevin Cash, familiar with Chris Smith because he caught him a couple of times when they were both with the Red Sox.
How ironic. Now seeing him making his second big league start 9 years later.
And ball 4, a walk on 4 pitches here to Logan Morrison.
Well, that's one way to try to get back into this ball game right away. Leadoff walk. See that a lot with Logan Morrison. You know, he's one of those guys that's got some pretty good plate discipline. As free of a swinger as he can be from time to time, has a good idea of the strike zone. And when pitchers fall behind him, they really start to nibble because of that power and the 26 home runs.
Well, Wilson Ramos back in the Rays lineup. Been in 10 games, 10 runs batted in, 3 home runs. And he takes the pitch for a ball. Fastball in the mid-80s. Changeup in the mid-70s. Curveball just a couple ticks above that. This one is chopped foul.
Yeah, what you're going to have to tell yourself is to wait back, to sit back. You know, these guys are used to taking cuts at 95-mile-an-hour fastballs. His fastball's not going to beat you, but what will is the change of speeds and you getting out of sync, off balance, leaning a little bit too early.
And he drops that one in there for a strike, 1-2. Ball left side, and it comes up, gets away from Chapman and through into left, and Morrison with his head down heads for third and makes it without a play. An aggressive move by Logan Morrison, and now the Rays have men on the corners.
Well, this is one of the worst defensive teams in all of Major League Baseball. They've been a little bit better as of late, but that right there looked to be a quick end to this Ray threat. If this is fielded cleanly, this is going to be a double play, and it just eats Matt Chapman up. And instead of 2 outs, nobody on, it's first and third with nobody out. And right there, Logan Morrison aggressively going to third base, not even a throw.
And now Brad Miller, the error charged to Chapman. Miller lifts it into left field. Davis is there to make the catch. He does not have a good arm, and the tag by Morrison, he scores. The throw arrives at second, keeping Ramos at first, and the Rays have their first run. Well, you got to give Logan Morrison some credit right there.
Showing a lot of heart and hustle, Dwayne.
Yes,
heart
he is.
And hustle.
Heart and hustle. Well, that's what that award is all about. He is the Rays recipient of this year's Heart and Hustle Award.
How about that? Very appropriate that once he's named that winner, that he goes out and lives up to the billing.
Echeverria fouls it, strike 1. So the Rays turn the leadoff walk and the error into a run. See what else they can do. It's a 2-1 ball game now. And a base hit out of the reach of Semien. Ramos advances to second. Echeverria with a base hit.
Batting in the 8th position, left fielder, number 2.
So 2 on, 1 out.
Peterson.
Now Shane Peterson. He's getting the start in left. A couple of home runs on the year, 277 overall.
An extremely aggressive hitter, especially on first pitch fastballs.
And with a good reason. He's had great success. You lay that fastball in there and he's after it. He takes the pitch this time for a ball plenty wide. Peterson 8 of 15 when he puts that first pitch into play. 533. Ground ball back to the hill. Back to second. 1 throw to first. Not going to be in time. Ramos goes to third. Echeverria forced at second, and the throw a little bit to the shortstop side.
Yeah, you know, Chris Smith, he took his time in making that throw. Then he kind of yanked it a little bit, and it forced an awkward catch out there at second base. I'll tell you, Oakland, we saw it last night too, not helping themselves at all defensively. And where this one is not going to be an error, this is certainly one of those, you know, giveaways, the defensive giveaways. You get the ground ball hit sharply back right to you on one hop. He's not even out of the batter's box. This has to be a double play end of the inning. And the throw is down and away, and Shane Peterson scampered right up the line and was safe. We just saw it.
There's Peter Borges. He misses the breaking ball. Strike 1. Well, the Rays have had a couple of extra outs handed to them here in the second inning. One ball, 1 strike. Oakland with a couple of runs in the first, the Rays with a run in the second. Ground ball down to third. Chapman up with this one and the throw in time. So the Rays are out in the second inning. They pick up a run and trail 2-1. Brought to you by your local Ford dealer and by your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places. Rays in Oakland tonight. Winners last night, 3-2. They trailed 2-1. Matt Chapman prepares to lead off the bottom of the second inning.
When was that picture ever taken? We actually look like professionals.
Yeah, how did that happen? The pitch is down. 1 ball, no strikes.
They had to have superimposed
We actually
this.
look like professionals. Yeah, that can't be a real picture then. This pitch is wide. 2-0.
I was shocked when that popped up, I have to say.
Gives us something to shoot for. Now Snell quickly falls behind Chapman. 3-0. There's a strike. 3-1. Now the count is full. Snell all the way out after falling behind.
Yeah, I got to try to come back and get this leadoff hitter. The Rays were able to score a run, chip away at that Oakland lead, and the last thing you'd want is a leadoff walk.
Fly ball lifted into left center field, and who's going to get that? At the last moment, Peterson bows out, and Borges takes care of it.
Hey, let me ask you something. How many times has Shane Peterson and Peter Borges played in the outfield together? And, you know, you talk about communication between outfielders. You've got a big outfield here to cover, and those two don't have a lot of time together. So it's going to get a little close right here, but Shane Peterson defers at the very end.
Well, that's okay if you're going to be aggressive. Just don't run into the center fielder.
No.
And he stopped and got out of the way in the nick of time.
And you'd really like him to pull up like behind you. You don't need the added degree of difficulty.
Cut and a foul ball by Adam Rosales, taking the count to a ball and a strike. Two fastball on that outside edge. Two and two. And a cut and a miss. Takes care of Rosales.
I'll tell you what, early going, that slider is filthy. He's getting great downhill, playing with it. Look at him just ripping over that breaking ball, driving it down, 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 and you just cannot get there with the swing. It's the complete opposite of that elevated heater where you can't get up to it. You can't get down to that slider when he puts that kind of spin on it with that kind of downhill angle.
Josh Flegley, the catcher. The first pitch fastball. And boy, that first pitch fastball, so key for Snell. If he can stay ahead of most of these hitters, then he has options.
Like that. And now it's 0-2. And Flegley is in trouble here. If you're Blake Snell, you're thinking here, just execute a pitch. Execute a pitch, you're going to put him away. 4 out of 8. Obviously room for improvement there, but that's how important it is.
Upstairs with a fastball.
Okay, well this is just like that previous at bat with Ryan Healy. Fastball up there, change the eye level, get him thinking quick, go right back to that slider. I'm going to go another heater.
And he throws it by him.
Why not?
Went up with the fastball, mid-90s. And so a 1-2-3 second inning. 2-1 Oakland.
the Rays 2-1. Well, wrapping up our late night with the Rays edition, we're continuing our rapid fire. But tonight, we get things started as we talk to Peter Borges.
Torrey Hunter.
Teammate who talks the most trash is?
Lomo.
If you have a bad game you want to talk to?
I'd probably call my dad.
Your first car was?
Toyota Avalon.
And if you could have dinner with any current celebrity, who would you want to go to dinner with?
I don't know, maybe Derek Jeter.
All right, Derek Jeter. That's his celebrity dinner. How about yours, you guys?
Ooh.
Yeah, we're too slow for a rapid fire round.
Yeah, things have really slowed down.
Oh, a shot off the bat of Steven Souza Jr. And just like that, this game is tied. He drilled a line drive home run out of here, his 20th of the year. Boy, you talk about 2 home runs in this series, hot off the bat. Souza just delivers one right there.
You know, within 5-10 feet of each other. Same type of home run, right in the same area of the stadium. An absolute bullet. Second time through. This team has now seen Chris Smith. And Souza Jr. stays back and is in perfect timing and delivers. Boy, look out.
Remember how frustrated he was, that shot we got of him after the first at bat. Struck out on the breaking ball. And boy, he was going to have none of that the second time around and jumped on that first pitch.
Did you see him walk his bat down? He was cradling it as he put it back into the. There's no throwing this one.
Here's Dickerson. And a little ground ball off that 1-0 pitch. Gonzalez, the second baseman, takes care of that. Yeah, that ball might have one flat side on it that he hit on a line and out of here. So 20 home runs for Steven Souza Jr. Here's Evan Longoria riding a 10-game hitting streak. That's a strike around the knees.
Souza Jr., by the way, completely saved us from that dinner talk.
He did indeed. 406 the distance on that home run. Popper and Healy back at first handles this one in foul territory. The projected distance last night 399 on his homer, and over 400 feet the projection on that one. So we're tied 2-2. Here's Logan Morrison. Just down. Smith originally got to the big leagues in 08, as we mentioned briefly, 12 games with Boston, and then spent some time with Milwaukee. Balls, no strikes. Did not pitch in 2012 and then pitched in the Independent League Baseball for the Wichita Wingnuts. And that was in 2013. Followed that up the next year with the Sugarland Skeeters.
Now you're getting into some recognizable independent league. That's the big boy right there.
Scott Kazmir went down there and pitched. Jason Lane making his conversion from an outfielder to a pitcher. Pitched for the Skeeters. So did Chris Smith.
Yeah, his road to the big leagues and his appreciation for getting this opportunity once again is. I know the people here in Oakland are very impressed with Chris Smith and the type of guy that he is.
Morrison draws the walk. So with 2 outs, Logan Morrison walks for the second time in this game. MLB.com at bat, your #1 mobile app for live Rays baseball. Stay connected with a fully customizable experience. Get Rays home screen icons and app features, as well as live game video highlights, StatCast, and a lot more. So download MLB.com at bat today. The one hopper out to second off the bat of Wilson Ramos, and he's thrown out, retiring the side. Rays tie it. Steven Souza Jr. jumping on the first pitch of the 3rd inning, and this game is all even, 2-2. Look at Jake Odorizzi. Well, here's one guy, and this really is our Geico look back. Just a little under 24 hours, and one guy who's feeling a lot better about his game right now.
Well, you know, we talked about it last night, first 8 starts and then the last 8 starts, even the last one going into the All-Star break, and he had some extra days to think about that. And, you know, came out in last night's game and, you know, started out of the windup, walked the first hitter and 5 or 6 pitches, was out of the stretch after that, and then just continued out of the stretch, felt more comfortable. He made pitches and ended up with 7 very strong innings. He gave up 1 hit. It was a solo home run, but outside of that, Jake was tremendous. And you're right, that's got to really lift his spirits here in the second half, because if this team wants to win the division, and they can do that, they're going to need Jake Odorizzi to be strong.
Yeah, and I think what we saw last night, and we both had a chance to have a little exchange with him earlier today about that, and his decision, something he had thought about to go from the stretch, decided not to do it last night. He started, gave up the walk to start things, and he said, wait a minute, I may as well go for it now. And did, and what a great decision that turned out to be, as Brugman is caught looking. 3rd consecutive strikeout for Snell, and his 5th, the first time through the order.
The thing that was interesting, what he talked about, and this is nothing new. I mean, this was, you know, Greg Maddux was one of the guys that talked an awful lot about it. You know, back in the day was, you know, when he said, when I throw my bullpen, I start my bullpen out of the stretch, I throw almost my entire bullpen out of the stretch, and at the very end, I go out of the windup. And the reason for doing that is because he said all of the meaningful pitches that you make are typically out of the stretch. When you're really trying to limit damage or to keep guys from, you know, scoring, you got runners in scoring position, you make your toughest pitches out of the stretch. And so that's how he works all of his, you know, bullpens. And a lot of guys do that. And he said it's something that he thought about, but again, you're not quite comfortable to do it, and it's out of necessity. And that's what he felt like last night. And boy, you know that he's going to stick with that for the coming next few starts at least.
Yeah, the foreseeable future, and why not? Snell knocks it down, picks it up, and makes the throw to first to get Rajay Davis. So 2 up and 2 down. And why wouldn't he? I mean, he was brilliant after that. Had great command. Everything simplified.
Yeah, there was no, no drop off in stuff or life or anything else. Everything was sharp. Even Kevin Cash talked about that. His pitches, they had an edge to them. And, if you can do that with very simple mechanics one way, I mean, why would you not?
Simeon takes a pitch for a ball. Yeah, well, that's what Jim Hickey told him. So why not? Go for it. I mean, you think about how competitive this game is and, what's at stake at the major league level. Isn't it great that he's able to have that exchange with Hickey, the middle of the game, or game begins. So I think I'm going to stay with it. Sure, why not?
Well, you first of all, you trust your pitching coach. Jim Hickey, one of the best in the game. And then Jim Hickey has enough of a track record with Jake Odorizzi that he trusts Jake. And he knows, listen, this is how the kid throws the majority of his bullpen anyway. And why not shake it up a little bit, see if we can simplify some things. So, yeah, you encourage him and say, go out there and make it happen. And I'll tell you, he did.
Full count to Simeon. Shot foul. Rebounding down toward the bullpen. Well, the Rays come in 50 and 44. Oakland 42 and 51. They won 3 of 4. Another foul ball straight back on a fastball. And that will be ball 4, a 2-out walk. The first one of those issued by Blake Snell.
That'll be something else to watch, is limiting the walks. When you look at his walk numbers so far through his 10 starts coming in, his walk rate was 5.88 walks per 9 innings. And if he qualified, that would be far and away the worst mark in Major League Baseball. So it's not only the deep counts, a lot of pitches per inning, but boy, he's given the opposition a lot of free base runners too that come back to hurt you.
Pitch is up, and it's reflected not only in the number of walks and base runners, but the counts that you wind up watching get away from you.
Yeah,
it's a cumulative effect.
Start to fatigue a little bit, and for every guy that you walk, there's another handful of bad counts, 2-0, 3-1, where balls are getting put into play. You just paint yourself into a corner, and you make things so difficult. Game's hard enough even when you're pitching from out in front. It becomes real hard when you're constantly behind.
Shot to center field. Borges will go back, but he's there and makes the catch. A walk and a man left, and we're headed into the 4th, tied 2-2. mobile. Boy, bad news for Houston. Carlos Correa figures to be out 6 to 8 weeks with the torn ligament in his left thumb. And again, going in head first. And boy, that's, especially for a middle infielder, very dangerous. I mean, they're running away with their race, but still, you hate to lose a guy like that.
Yeah, I mean, think about who it's affected. You know, two of the most exciting people in the game, Mike Trout, Carlos Correa.
Miller skies this one to Davis in left. That's the first out in the 4th inning.
And you're right, because it's your thumb, obviously middle infielder swinging a bat, and how long it's going to take you to come back. You say 6 to 8 weeks, you figure a couple of months, but oh, by the way, when you do come back, it's going to be late in the season, playoffs looming, and you've got to find a way to get your timing back.
Yeah, and that he originally hurt that thumb on sliding head first, and then while he was hitting is when the full extent of that injury developed. But it started with a head first slide into home.
You just wonder what kind of damage was in there already that obviously was finished off by swinging the bat.
Echeverria lifts it into left, and Davis comes in to make the catch. 2 outs in the 4th inning. Watch Rays baseball for a retro price with the new Rays Flex Pack. Save up to 60% off the single game ticket price and get 5 lower level tickets for just $75. Get a Rays retro hat with each pack purchased. Call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit raysbaseball.com/flex. Rays up. First pitch is low to Shane Peterson. A couple of quick outs here in the 4th inning.
There's been a lot of action with Chris Smith early in counts. He's not wasting a whole lot of time. You've got a guy that is not going to be able to pitch effectively from behind, so you know that he's got to be around the strike zone. He's not overpowering. He works quickly, and that is a recipe for a lot of balls put in play early, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. Ah, a little Joel Peralta action right there.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah. It's all about trying to screw up the timing of that hitter.
3-1, the changeup, and he let that one just fall down and away from him. Peter Borges on deck. Little number to the left side, the shortstop Simeon with the throw to first, and Peterson hustling down the line is out number 3. Through 3.5, we're tied 2-2.
players enjoying remote destinations or having valuable time with family, the Rays players find special ways to enjoy their long off-season, and here's some of their favorite vacation spots.
I don't really like going to like one place twice, but Maui was pretty cool. Maui.
Probably, I mean, me and my family always go to Orange Beach, Alabama. I mean, it's just a place we get away every year, and it's kind of feels like that's a right place for us, like to, you know, relax.
I'll go with going back to Clemson for a football game.
Going back to Clemson, Brad Miller went to the national championship game in Tampa, and actually, BA, you were there too.
I was there. I was with a very dear friend of mine who went to Alabama, and let's just say it was a long slog home after that game. What a game, though. Sean Watson coming up big when it mattered. And I'll tell you what, Alabama was laying the wood to that kid all game long, and he just kept getting up and making plays. Something else.
One the count on Chris Davis leading off the bottom of the fourth. Up and in there, Davis homered. A 2-run home run in the first. Rays with a single run in the second and another run on the Souza Jr. home run in the third. Tied the game. We're that way here in the bottom of the fourth. 3-1. Ball 4 in the leadoff walk. Jed Lowry's going to be the hitter. Well, a beautiful area, and we'll take in every sightseeing opportunity.
Yeah, leave my scooter in the back and decided to go with the all whites today and go out and you know, take a look around San Francisco. It was really good.
Race the cable cars up and down the hills here.
It can get dangerous in spots. Pretty steep hills.
Yeah, there's ball 1 to Jed Lowry after the walk to Davis. Lowry, one of 5 strikeouts posted so far tonight by Blake Snell. Up 2-0. Snell, after the walk, is behind Lowry 3-0. It's just not what you want to see.
No, and you got to keep a close eye on this, and I would expect that if there's anything that goes wrong here with the walk, Jim Hickey's going to be right to the mound, because this is what we've seen before from Blake Snell. He'll go on stretches where very impressive and then seemingly just lose it out of the blue, lose command of the strike zone. And you know, Jim Hickey will be quick to get out there.
Finds the zone there, 3-1.
This is where you're going over in your mind the keys to your delivery to get back into the zone. And I'm sure that there are a couple that are quick reminders for Blake Snell. Now you got to execute.
The foul ball, fastball up, and the count is full.
This would go a long ways with Blake Snell's confidence if he could come back and get Jed Lowry here. After the walk, the 3-0 count, this can kind of settle you back down if you can make one more pitch here and record it out.
And he fouls a fastball. Snell has worked his way back from 3-0. Lowry foul that strike away. And that's too high. Back-to-back walks. 2 men on with nobody out, and to the mound heads Jim Hickey. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow. Wrap-up game of this series and the road trip for the Wednesday showdown, driven by GMC. Rays will have Jake Faria on the mound against Sonny Gray. So a great pitching matchup, and Gray could be pitching with a little added weight with the idea that his name is being bandied about as the trading deadline, the non-waiver deadline approaches.
Boy, doesn't it seem that year after year that teams are getting an earlier start? Like coming out of the All-Star break, the action is hot and heavy, as opposed to it used to be you had to get really close to July 31st before you saw, you know, the activity that we're seeing now. Teams linked to different players.
And Chapman takes a fastball in the upper part of the zone. There's a strike. Yeah, I think you're right about that. And it's almost as if the teams want to get a head start and not miss out on an opportunity, because there are a lot of these races teams still feel they're in.
Yeah. Yeah, the tough part right now is finding the sellers. And, you know, you've got Baltimore that has come out publicly and said, okay, Seth Smith and any of our top line relievers, we're open for business. Detroit, Oakland here, you know, open for business. You saw the big trade with the relievers to the Nationals. Doolittle and Madsen. So you've got some teams publicly, you know, stating that Chicago White Sox, another team,
Boy,
have at it.
They're collecting prospects.
They've got one of the, if not the top farm system in Major League Baseball right now. They've got a chance to be really good, really fast in the next few years. There's no doubt about that. Impact guys in the minor leagues. And still, they've got a couple pieces left out there. Todd Frazier, David Robertson. You know, they're just going to continue to add to their haul.
Yeah, both those names prominently mentioned, and you'd be surprised if they're not moved. It's almost a foregone conclusion.
Well, what we had heard here before this ball game started was that they were close with the Yankees. Now, how much truth to that, we'll see. But it's moving in that direction. Frazier's been linked to the Red Sox.
Yep. And then you got a couple of suitors there trying to bolster, in this case, the Red Sox and the Yankees in the American League East, competing against each other. And the news, not that we have any particular pipeline, but the Rays in a position here where they're looking for some help as well, and will entertain ideas of maybe moving some prospects for some immediate help.
You got to believe they're looking in that bullpen. Picked up Chaz Rowe today in a trade. Bullpen depth in AAA.
Now we have a full count. First and second, nobody out. 3-2 on Chapman. Rosales on deck. Well, this has been a familiar theme with Blake Snell. He had 5 strikeouts the first time through the lineup. Second time through, he's walked 3 of the first 5 he's faced. And 3-2 with this one. And it's foul back and out of play.
Well, and this is where the pitch count starts to go south. You start to build up overall number. You're at 73 now. Still with nobody, you know, retired here in the bottom of the 4th inning. And if you don't do it in a tidy manner, you're going to be looking at 20+ pitches an inning again, heading into the 5th.
Fly ball, center field. Borges will go back just in front of the track to make the catch. Davis tags at second, goes to third. And a long fly ball to center records out number 1. With Oakland runners now on the corners.
Now batting second baseman, the 16, Adam Gonzalez.
Adam Rosales now with men at first and third. One ball, no strikes. Foul up the right side, a chase by Morrison, but it's out of reach. Again, a lot of foul territory here. That gives you an idea how much territory there is. There's a little pop-up, and the defender can't get there. It's so far to go.
No matter how much heart and hustle he shows.
And he's showing a lot of it.
He was not able to get there because of all the foul ground.
Ball, one strike. This one lifted up the right side, and again Morrison after it, and that one actually a couple of rows out of reach.
And he's like uncle on this.
You get your running in.
Yeah.
Chasing foul balls here. Two-ball game, bottom of the fourth.
Well, you got a chance here to try to put Rosales away with either poor contact. A strikeout would be huge. Think about that slider, another fastball in. Well, it's a good take there because that was a wipeout slider, and that's what we saw a lot of swings and misses on earlier in this game.
Chris Davis at third, Jed Lowry aboard across the diamond at first. One out, the 2-2 count on Rosales. Pops him up, foul ball. Ramos right back of the plate, just to the first base side a couple steps, making the catch. And that's out number two.
That,
so big out right there.
It was, Dwayne, and it was a really nice job by Wilson Ramos, understanding that Rosales was not able to make the adjustment on the fastball in. Two weak pop-ups up the right side, and Logan Morrison was chasing, and they just stayed in on him, knowing that he just was not going to have the bat speed to get to it, and that just ate him up. And becomes an easy play here with two outs, and Blake Snell on the verge of getting out of this self-inflicted situation.
He has the Oakland catcher Fegley up there. Into the dirt, and skips by Ramos. Down the line from third comes Davis, and it's 3-2 Oakland. A wild pitch.
Now Wilson Ramos did not have a chance. This looked to be a slider, 87 miles an hour, and it was thrown right into the ground. Not a chance. That was an absolute slider, and that is feet out in front of the plate, and you just can't ask your catcher. You do everything that he can there, but that's a tough ask to block that and keep it in front.
So the Rays again down by a run. 1-0 to Fegley. Lowry now at second. A strike on the outside part of the plate. Line drive into left. It'll be charged by Peterson. Lowry's going to stop at third, and it's first and third. Aggressively charged by Peterson in left on the line drive by Fegley, and Lowry stopped right there at third base.
That ball was hit so hard, and Peterson not playing overly deep. A good combo to be able to keep Lowry right there at third base. Watch how quickly this ball gets out to him. Fastball, Fegley pulls the trigger and just pulls right over top of that thing and ropes it hard to Peterson. He comes up throwing and no chance. You see Lowry just barely around third base.
Brugman. Fastball upstairs. Well, the pitch count approaching the mid-80s here. 2 outs into the 4th. Similar issue. 2-0.
Yeah, well, I mean, even as of now, you're over 20 pitches per. You see 21, then 15, 18. Things started to get under control a little bit, and then now we pop right back up to 30, and more than likely is going to lead to another short outing here by Blake Snell. At this point, you need to get a quick out and then hope you can get him through 5 innings.
Swing and a miss, snapped on at first. Oh, that was close. Fegley got to the back side of the bag. Ramos trying to steal an out there.
Yeah, well, you got a guy with the secondary league, and all of a sudden Brugman, being the left-handed hitter, gives you a little bit of a screen.
The Rays want to get a determination from their video crew. They may have gotten him, and they're going to take a look at it. That was very close.
I think the glove does get to the back before that hand. It's going to be tough. You can't see it there. And remember, this is going to have to be a no-doubter because the call went against the Rays. But right here, tag. Oh, boy, that hand is clear and convincing.
Well, we're going to see.
Yes.
How about that?
That's as close as it gets.
That would be a very, very big out if the Rays can prevail here.
Saves any more pitches thrown by Snell and gets you out of the inning with a runner at third.
So the initial call by Jim Reynolds safe at first. So the Rays facing a convincing burden of proof here. Is this enough right here? The pickoff attempt being challenged. The participants discuss it over there at first base. Fegley and Morrison along with Mike Aldretti. And the Rays are going to get this one overturned. So the pickoff, and boy, a big one right there. Ramos cuts down the base runner Fegley. And it's 3-2 Oakland through 4. Late night with the Rays. Comfortably cool here in the Oakland area. And a visit to Alcatraz, apparently. At least that's the story we're going with.
Yeah, and there was talk of, maybe an overnight stay. But we were able to make it to the ballpark.
First pitch here in the 5th inning. Borges takes a strike. Borges grounded out to third his first time. Two. So we're in the 5th. 3-2 Oakland. Ball, 2 strikes. Rays with a couple runs, 2 hits. Brad Miller's fly ball got a run home in the 2nd. Souza's home run accounted for the run in the 3rd. He'll hit next. It's 2-2. Chopper headed toward the middle. Semien can't get there. That ball stayed down and slips through into center. Borges is aboard to lead off the inning.
Boy, a little half swing there by Peter Borges. You're just putting the ball in play. Obviously, he's got very good speed. I don't know if Semien even comes up with that, if he's going to be able to get him, but it did take a hop and stay close to the ground and sneak its way through.
Now top of the order, Steven Souza Jr. Souza struck out swinging his first time and then homered in the 3rd. And he's out in front of that one, strike 1.
Well, you got an opportunity here with a guy who homered in his last at bat. You've got speed over there at first base. Rays have a chance, especially going through this lineup now for the 3rd time against Smith, try to put something together in the middle part of this game.
Souza quickly behind 0-2.
He's having a little bit of trouble right now recognizing that breaking ball. It got him in his first at bat. He's come back with 2 of them in a row right here. There's that knuckle curveball. That picture doesn't do it justice. That thing is spinning so tight, and it's just tough to discern what's coming at you. And 2 check swings, or a swing and then a check swing, and you're down 0-2.
Lays off. Ball, 2 strikes. Rays facing Chris Smith, 36-year-old right-hander, making his 2nd start of the year for Oakland. The count is 2-2. Souza the hitter, Borges the base runner. Rays fell behind 2-0 after an inning. Got a run in the 2nd, another run on the home run by Souza in the 3rd to tie Oakland with the go-ahead run in the 4th. We're in the 5th. And now it's 3-2, so it's gone from 0-2 to 3-2. Souza laying off the 2-2 curveball there.
You know, when you look down at the, well, we'll get to it after this pitch.
3-2. Here we go. Runner on the move. Strike three called. A throw down is in time. Rosales put the tag on him. Bill Welke and Souza Jr. A little conversation over the call. And it's a strikeout and a throw him out double play. Souza Jr. not happy as he leaves. Kevin Cash comes out to run a little interference.
Well, there's the pitch that was called. And then you see Souza Jr. actually stepping across the plate too, right into the throw. There's the tag. Strike him out, throw him out. Kevin Cash is livid. And I think Souza Jr. may be gone.
Well, Cash is not very happy.
Somebody's gone.
Yeah,
we know that.
The Rays had Beckham ejected last night. And Cash went out there to protect Souza Jr.
Yeah.
And it's going to be Cash who is ejected. So they strike him out, throw him out, double play. See Souza walking away and Cash coming out.
Yeah,
and the heave ho there by Welke.
A left-handed heave ho. He had given Cash the warning too. One more word, and he dropped one more word, and he showed him the way out of there. But good job by Kevin Cash at jumping out in front of Souza Jr. because I don't think he had much longer with Bill Welke.
1-1 the count. It's the third time Cash has been ejected this year. Fly ball into left. Chris Davis is there making the catch, and the Rays are out in the fifth. It's now 3-2 Oakland. On, brought to you by your Southern Chevy dealers and by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. In Oakland tonight, the Rays are down by a run moving into the bottom of the fifth inning. It's a 3-2 ball game. And Blake Snell, who started tonight, will not go out there for the fifth. His night finished after 4 innings and 85 pitches.
Yeah, I mean, that's an average of 21 per, even above his season average. And the Rays just not wasting any time here tonight. You can see Blake Snell, that's a tough feeling to have on the bench, because he really thought that this was going to be the night that he broke through, and he talked about it publicly and said, I know what I need to do, and I need to quit talking about it. I need to go out and do it, and tonight's going to be that night, and it turns out not yet.
Brugman leading off the bottom of the 5th against Erasmo Ramirez. Snell reflective there in the dugout on the bench for the Rays. 4 innings. He gave up the 3 runs, 3 hits, a home run to Chris Davis in the first. Brugman lifts a high pop fly short left. Peterson is there to make the catch.
You know, here's what's interesting. In most other years, you know, or even earlier this season, Blake Snell's going to get that 5th inning. But this is what they now consider a first division club looking to win a division championship.
Yep.
And as you get later into the season, your leash is very short. And if they can't count on you to go out there and pitch deep into a game and pitch winning baseball, it's going to be real short. And they're going to find other options to go out there and try to finish off a game. And this is kind of how you manage, you know, playoff type baseball.
Yeah,
struggle early, out.
No longer a developmental situation here. It's a production oriented situation, with this team starting the day 2 games back in the American League East. Ground ball back to the hill, and a toss to first. So Davis is out number 2. Tom Foley taking over as Kevin Cash has been ejected. Second time that Bill Welke has ejected Kevin Cash this year. The other time had to do, remember the Matt Andriese balk controversy? That was at the Trop back in early May, and Bill Welke was involved in that and ejected Kevin Cash. Simeon takes this one as it skips by. 1 ball, no strikes. Ground ball down to first. That'll be scooped by Morrison, who steps on the bag. It's a 1-2-3 5th, and we go to inning 6. Rays down 3-2. Summary. Oakland opened the scoring with a 2-run home run from Chris Davis in the bottom of the first inning. Rays got a run in the second on a fly ball and tied it for the moment on Steven Souza Jr.'s 20th home run of the season. Only to see Oakland come away with a run on this wild pitch, allowing Chris Davis to score the 3rd Oakland run of the night. And as we go to the 6th inning, Oakland has a 3-2 lead. Evan Longoria leading off for the Rays, and the pitch is down. Longoria Morrison and Ramos due up against Chris Smith. Evan with a 10-game hitting streak so far tonight, 0 for 2. And up in the count, 2-0. Chris Smith, 36-year-old right-hander. And he has Longoria out in front.
That changeup, this change-up pace style of pitching. He's working quickly, throwing strikes. Changeup's been good. The knuckle curveball has been a good pitch.
Chopped to third. Chapman with a long throw. And that's the first out in the 6th.
A nice strong arm right there. That ball really didn't have any dip whatsoever as Chapman rifled that across the field. As he plays this thing back a little bit and then boom, steps into it, and that has got some zip on it.
Now Logan Morrison. The Rays starting the day 2 games back of Boston, running second. New York third, 3.5 back, and the Yankees have just beaten Minnesota 6-3. Morrison takes a strike. Toronto and Boston at last count tied in the 10th inning at Fenway, 3-3. 1 ball, 1 strike. You know, we mentioned the ejection of Kevin Cash, second time that Bill Welke has ejected Kevin from a game this year. Third time Cash has been ejected overall. And the disagreement tonight started with a strikeout of Steven Souza Jr. And that also led to another ejection of Kevin Cash against the Tigers when Larry Vanover ejected him, and that was over Souza attempting to check his swing on a strikeout. 2-2. Morrison with 2 bases on balls and a run scored.
Chris Smith has been careful with him all night, falling behind and then picking around the edges of the strike zone, respecting the power of Logan Morrison. With a changeup here. There's another ball well off the plate. You can see he just is not comfortable, or hasn't been as of yet, going after Logan Morrison out over the plate because of the damage that he can do. Some quick walks too. You're not wasting a lot of time getting him down to first base.
3-2 now. Here it is. And a fly ball to center field. Brugman there to make the catch. 2 gone. Rays down in order in the first, scored a run in the second, scored a run in the third. Out 1, 2, 3 in the fourth. On a base hit, but a caught stealing after the strikeout of Souza in the 5th. And now 2 up, 2 down in the 6th inning. Wilson Ramos reached on Chapman's error in the second, grounded to second in the third, so officially 0 for 2. There's a strike at the knees. And that New York win over Minnesota. That game started with a ground ball down to third. Nice play by Chapman, and the throw to first retires Ramos and the Rays here in the 6th inning. So a fine play by the young third baseman, and the Rays are up and down in order through 5.5. 3-2 Oakland.
fell in love with when we were kids, and that was the case for Rays pitcher Adam Kolarek. Here's his favorite ball player when he was growing up.
Cal Ripken.
Teammate who talks the most trash is?
Shane Peterson. And Tommy Hunter.
If you have a bad game you want to talk to?
My dad.
Your first car was?
Corolla.
And if you could have dinner with any current celebrity, who would you want to go to dinner with?
Who? Jim Carrey.
So Kolarek wants some comedy at his dinner. Jim Carrey. Dwayne B.A., this time you're not off the hook. Who's the celebrity you're taking to dinner?
Eugene Levy.
I don't even know who that is.
Then I'll go Jason Bateman. I'll go with Michael Blue. There you go.
Yeah, and I'm sticking with Eugene Levy.
And if it was no longer with us, non-living, I'm going Winston Churchill.
Yeah, that's a good one. Harry Truman would be good.
Drop the big one.
Yep. There's strike 3 call on Healy. And the first out in the bottom of the 6th inning.
How about his left fielder? Number 2, Chris Davis.
Well, the jackpot brought to you by the Florida Lottery. Major League home run leaders since 2016. Chris Davis leads that list in front of Nelson Cruz. Davis takes ball 1. There's a strike now. 1-1. Out. Two balls and a strike to count to Davis with Erasmo Ramirez on the mound. Strikeout of Healy to start the inning. 3-1 on Davis. Jed Lowry waiting to hit next. It's fouled out of play. So the count is full.
Well, this is going to be a test here of the depth of this Rays bullpen. And the nice thing about having Erasmo Ramirez back out there is the length that he's able to give you.
Strike 3 called. So a couple of called third strikes to open the 6th. 5 in a row retired by Erasmo Ramirez.
Boy, he has come out sharp, very sharp. That pitch, how about that? That little sinking fastball right to the outside corner. You just cannot put that pitch in a better spot. Nothing Chris Davis could do with that, and not much of an argument either.
And Lowry lifts one up the left side. That's out of play.
And what you're hoping here tonight is that the Rays bullpen has to cover 5 innings, force Oakland to have to hit in the bottom of the 9th, and that's asking quite a bit. And that's where a guy like Erasmo Ramirez, a guy like Chase Whitley that can give you multiple innings before you get it to the one-hit wonders at the end.
1 ball, 1 strike to count on Lowry. High fly ball. Borges after it. Souza over there, but Borges will make the catch. So a second 1-2-3 inning from Erasmo Ramirez. On to the 7th inning we go. 3-2 Oakland. in Oakland. Our bone fish grill catch of the game. And we'll go back to the 6th on the ball hit by Wilson Ramos, and the young third baseman Matt Chapman turning in a fine fly.
Yeah, think about Wilson Ramos' first ground ball in this game. It was a chance for Matt Chapman to turn a double play. That made an error on that, but he has come back with a couple of nice plays and showing an awful strong arm too. That's the whole key. You know, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make errors in this game. It happens. But, boy, you've got to be able to put them behind you and continue to go out there and make the next play. And that's one of the most difficult things of this game. It doesn't wait for you. It doesn't pause for you. You've got to be mentally strong and power through.
Two 2-0 the count to Brad Miller leading off. He drove in a run with a sacrifice fly to left in the 2nd inning. Chops it foul, 2-1.
Chris Smith still sitting at just 80 pitches as we're here into the top of the 7th inning. And bullpen down there for the A's, very quiet. Rays down just by a run.
Smith made 97 pitches against Seattle in his other start this year. 3-1 count. Just a little over 80 right now. That's a strike. They're trying to draw the walk. Smith worked 6 innings, gave up 3 runs, 6 hits against the Mariners up in Seattle. 97 pitches and a home run in that one. And strike 3 called right there on the corner, and Miller is caught.
I'll tell you, Chris Smith came back with 2 very good pitches to finish his at bat off. In a bad count at 3-1, but look at that. Drops that sinker right there. Well, 2 seams, splits those fingers a little bit, gets some late movement right to the edge. And that was right there. Perfect pitch.
Adeiny Echeverria. Ground ball to 3rd. Chapman comes up with this one and throws a strike. Well, so far, the 3rd time through the Rays lineup, he's retired all 7 hitters he's faced.
He's got a good mix going. You know, the first pitch breaking ball, he's using the fastball, but working it to the fringes of the strike zone, knowing that it's not going to play out over the plate. The changeup has been a pitch that he's gone to with regularity. He really is keeping this Rays lineup off balance.
Shane Peterson takes a strike, and look at that location.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's the same pitch that he was able to ring Brad Miller up on.
Oh, 2.
Yeah, a little quick pitch there. No leg kick. Changeup.
It's going to be a foul and will carry out a play beyond the Oakland bullpen and back out onto the field. Action down there. Hendricks, the right-hander. Blom, the lefty. Pitch down and away. Headed up the middle, and it's caught on a line by the shortstop. Marcus Semien making the catch. 3 up, 3 down, go the Rays. Bottom of the 7th coming, 3-2 Oakland. we move into the bottom of the 7th inning in Oakland. If you break down that Oakland offense, home runs, their big threat.
Yep.
But they're 12th in the league in runs scored, last in batting average, 13th in on-base percentage, 222 with men in scoring position. So they live and die by the home run for the most part.
They really do, and just they limit their opportunities. You look at that batting average with runners in scoring position. They don't get many hits. They'll draw middle of the pack and walks, but hit some home runs.
Chapman's a ball.
Young guys who just, you know, turn it loose, and if you make your pitches against them, you've got a very good chance of putting together a nice outing, because young and sometimes undisciplined.
That's a strike. Well, Ramirez took over after 4. Had a perfect 5th and a 1, 2, 3, 6th. Chapman out in front of that one. Chapman hit 16 home runs in 49 games this year at AAA Nashville. So he has some pop, a couple of home runs in an A's uniform, and a hard hit ground ball right to Echeverria. And that's out number 1 in the bottom of the 7th. Look at the veteran infielder Rosales up there.
Number 16, Adam Rosales.
Rosales in the lineup against Blake Snell. Trying to now up in the bullpen for Oakland. And against Snell, Rosales was 0 for 2. Now he faces the right-hander Ramirez. Lifts the fly ball short left. Peterson coming in and makes the catch.
Well, you got to love the job that Erasmo Ramirez is doing here coming out of the bullpen.
8 up, 8 down.
Yeah, I mean, he's given this Rays offense a chance, coming out there picking up for Blake Snell. Working right through, I'll tell you. Yeah, like Erasmo as a starter, you really like him coming out of the bullpen. He's one of those guys that can do just about anything you ask for on the pitching end.
That's a strike at the knees to Fegley.
Works quickly, no fear.
And he just missed a little wide there. 1-1. And again, a little bit wide. 2 balls and a strike. He could not get Fegley to go. It's 3-1. It's been 12 days since Ramirez has been out there. How about that? He's been right on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can't believe it's been that long and how sharp that he's been.
Longoria with the pickup and the throw. They got him. The call made by Jim Reynolds, and because of the location of the throw, it appeared to be a little iffy over there. And let's see right here. Yeah, I think that puts on the bag, and the Rays are going to go ahead and leave the infield, most of them anyway, while the A's decide whether they want to have that one looked at or not, and they say no. So it's another perfect inning for Erasmo Ramirez, and we go to the 8th. Rays down by 1. by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Rays and the Oakland Athletics. Late night with the Rays. Heading into the 8th, and it's a one-run ball game. The Rays scored a run in the 2nd and another one in the 3rd on the Souza home run. And since then, they've had 1 hit. That was the leadoff single by Borges in the 5th. And Chris Smith gives Oakland 7 innings and gives way to Blake Trinan.
I'll tell you what, Chris Smith was impressive. For a guy who's going to top out, I think he threw 1 or 2 fastballs at 87. Everything else was 84 to 86. And he goes 7 strong innings, did a great job of mixing in the off-speed pitches, the curveball, and the changeup. We'll strike him out, throw him out right here. That would end Kevin Cash's night, actually. And right there, a perfectly located 2-seamer to Brad Miller, and he will give way to Blake Trinan, who we saw last night. Big time fastball. What a difference these two guys are.
And the first pitch is upstairs. 1 ball and no strikes. Yonder Alonso takes over at first base. Rays with 2 shots left. It's a strike, 1-1. We saw Trinan in the 8th inning of last night's game. He gave up a walk. That one is down. Thing we were surprised about last night was his swing through percentage. A 2-1 count. Two and 2. Smith for 7, and now Trinan. Upstairs. And the count is full. Borges out on strikes. Trinan picks up a strikeout of the first man he faces. Here's what's coming up tomorrow on Rays Live, the pregame show presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. We'll hear from Jake Faria, who will be on the hill making the start. And Orestes will break down Matt Joyce, the former Ray and now a member of this Oakland ball club. And we'll go to the top of the lineup. Steven Souza Jr. Taken low.
Well, a completely different look here from what Chris Smith gave the Rays. Trying with that fastball, mid to upper 90s. He may be better suited for the Rays. Like those hard throwers. Get it going.
Souza fouls it, and down he goes in the batter's box. Takes the count to 1-1. Try to walk that one off.
See where it got him. Breaking ball. Oh boy.
A direct hit.
Yes. He got himself pretty good. Pad or not.
go, 1-1. Stays in. 2 balls and a strike. Double barrel action. Kittredge and Boxberger up in the bullpen for the Rays. Just a little bit of that one, a foul ball. Catching Fegley, and it's 2-2. Saturday, the Rays take on the Rangers, and the first 15,000 fans take home their very own DJ Kitty onesie presented by Suncoast Credit Union. Visit RaysBaseball.com today. Well, Paul Harker out, and he's going to take a look at Bill Welke, who got part of that foul ball apparently. So Jim Reynolds come down from first. Yeah, that first caught Fegley and then Welke. Yeah, those are both jarring events. One out, nobody on in the 8th. Souza taps it foul. Fly ball into center. Brugman will be there waiting on this one to make the catch for the second out.
You can see Souza Jr. too is still a little bit of a limp on that left foot as he was rounding first base. I'll tell you, that was that breaking ball right there by Trinan had enough depth to it that it got Souza Jr. As you can see him still limping. That ball, well, he pounded that thing into his foot pretty good, but got him a little bit off balance. Lunging for that pitch for the second out. The Rays are running out of opportunities.
Two outs, base is empty. Corey Dickerson now against the right-hander, and a ground ball. Rosales at second, and it's a 1-2-3-8 for Trinan. Bottom of the 8th coming up. 3-2 Oakland. $2 Kids Tuesdays presented by Morgan Auto Group continues next Tuesday when the Rays take on Baltimore, and you can purchase $2 tickets for kids 14 and under with the purchase of a full price adult ticket. All fans can get $2 hot dogs presented by KM Franks. Call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit raysbaseball.com/specials. Well, a very good job by Erasmo Ramirez. And now Andrew Kittredge takes over on the hill here in the bottom of the 8th to face Jacob Brugman, the center fielder. And the first pitch is a strike call. Kittredge making his major league debut, 27-year-old right-hander.
Had put up really nice numbers down at Durham. That ERA 1.90 in 30 games, 2 of them starts. A couple of hard sliders here at 85 and 86 to get the jump on Brugman. And I'm sure that right now emotions running high right here. Major league debut, an exciting time.
Fouls it back. He's from Spokane, Washington. Went to school at the University of Washington. And the Rays got him in a deal last November with Seattle. And a swing and a miss. He strikes out Brugman. So that's how he starts his major league career, with a strikeout.
Not too bad, huh? And the calling card, the slider. He came at Brugman, the steady stream of these babies, and closes them out with the best of the bunch.
Now back around to the top of the order, Rajay Davis. Davis 1 for 3 tonight for Oakland. Fouls a fastball away. That fastball in around 94.
Boy, it jumped on Davis too. That got in there quick, really late on that swing as he tries to time him up. Good combo we've seen so far. Fastball slider.
There's a base hit back through the middle. Fastball, and Davis is aboard.
I got that timing down pretty quickly. Right back up the middle, and now you've got to keep your eye on Davis. There's the fastball, and he gets that foot down, gets the bat started, stays on top of it, and boy, that knuckling action right back up the middle into center field.
It's only the 7th hit in this game combined. The Rays have just 3 hits, and Oakland now 4. Over to first, high throw, and a little leap by Morrison to corral that one. And we've already seen Davis with 2 stolen bases tonight, way back in the first when he stole second and third against Blake Snell.
Let me tell you how big of a snare that was by Logan Morrison. That gets by him. Davis is on third with 1 out. So much foul territory. There's nobody close to this. And if this gets over his head, Davis would have to get up, but there's no help. Souza Jr.'s not close. Brad Miller way up the middle at second.
Swing and a miss by Semien. Semien has struck out, walked, and grounded out to first.
And big hole open over on the right side with the runner being held on.
Ground ball right side. Miller with a toss to second out there. Echeverria taking the toss from Miller to get the lead runner. So Davis is out of there. He's off the bases. And Semien takes over at first.
Make that trade. Especially to gain an out, too.
Yep. So 2 outs with a man at first. Ryan Healy set to be the hitter. Tom Foley, who's managing with the ejection of Kevin Cash back in the 5th inning. Lottery presents the Family of the Week for life scratch-offs with a top prize of $5,000 a week every week for the rest of your life. The longer you live, the more you keep winning. That's Winfinity. Must be 18 or older to play. Play responsibly. Well, Yonder Alonso in the third spot in the order, replacing Healy in the lineup at first base. And so Andrew Kittredge out of the game and Adam Kolarek in to face the left-handed bat of Alonso. And the first pitch is a strike. So Kittredge faced 3 men, picked up a strikeout, gave up a hit, and leaves with Semien over at first. And Alonso with 21 home runs in here against Kolarek, the lefty. And this one almost hit him and goes to the backstop. Down to second base goes Semien.
Yeah, well wide of the intended target, and I can't believe that that did not hit Yonder Alonso. That ball looked like it was destined for that front leg. Slide ball just kind of slips out and just misses him and misses Welke's leg. But that gets a runner in scoring position here with 2 outs.
2 wide, 2-1. That's a foul ball toward the Oakland dugout. 2-2. Blake Snell for 4, gave up 3 runs. 3 hits. Erasmo Ramirez, 3 superb innings in relief. He made just 33 pitches in the 3 innings he worked. Andrew Kittredge on to make his major league debut in relief here. Struck out Brugman to open the inning, gave up the hit to Davis. And then the fielder's choice ground ball by Semien. And now it's Kolarek on to face Alonso. Swing and a miss. He strikes him out. So we're going to go to the 9th. The Rays are down by a run. Evan Longoria will lead it off. He'll be followed by Logan Morrison and Wilson Ramos. Go to the 9th. The Rays down by 1. Coming up on Rays Live, the postgame presented by W.B. Mason. We'll anchor the coverage from the booth. We'll hear from Kevin Cash in the postgame press conference, and Alex Cordry will have interviews from the clubhouse. Santiago Casilla The closer on for the Oakland Ball Club. Trinan worked 1 inning, 7 innings from the starter Smith. And here's Evan Longoria to lead off the 9th. Final shot for the Rays. Longoria tonight 0 for 3 and goes after the first one, fouling it, strike 1.
Well, Casilla has been vulnerable, 15 out of 19 in saves. That ERA up over 3.5. Rays down just a run here. And you've got a powerful part of the lineup coming up.
Two, 94 and a cut and a miss.
You know, Casilla, we talk about those guys that throw 94, 95, 96, and it's really smooth and easy. Casilla is one of those guys that looks like he's throwing hard. I mean, he really comes at you max effort out there on the mound.
That's, a great stop at third by Chapman in the throw to first. Chapman takes an extra base hit away from Longoria. They're trying to open the 9th. Boy, that would have been tying run at second with nobody out, and Chapman turns in a great play at third.
An error in the 2nd inning, and since then Chapman has been outstanding. Not only gloving that, but again with the strong arm, all arm, and throws a bullet over there to get Evan Longoria, but what a stop, backhand up the line. Well, he's right up against that line playing no doubles, and he meant it.
Well, the Rays down to their final 2 outs, down by a run. Logan Morrison in against Casilla. The pitch is a strike. Morrison, a couple of walks tonight and a fly ball to center. And he's down 0-2.
Oh, good changeup there by Casilla. You know, you've got to get it dialed up for the big fastball, and then all of a sudden he drops a well executed and located changeup on top of it.
Pitch away. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Chris Smith still the pitcher of record. Trying to pick up his 2nd big league win. His first one since 2008. Pitch is down 2-2, and the Rays are running out of outs. Smith for 7, Trinan for 1, now Casilla. Out Morrison. Out number 2.
Came back and got him with the changeup, and he threw 2 tremendous changeups in that sequence of pitches to Logan Morrison, and he's able to drop it outside corner below the zone. You see the grip, and then here comes the action. Sells it with good arm speed. Can't reach it.
Pitch Wilson Ramos. Blue Jays and the Red Sox tied 4-4 in the middle of the 13th at Fenway. Rays are running out of outs here in Oakland. 2 balls, no strikes.
How about getting Brad Miller to the plate? He's had some big late inning hits for the Rays here the last week or so.
Brad hoping for a chance. Ramos will have to keep it going. And a ground ball. He's going to do just that. Base hit into left. And so the Rays keep their hopes alive on the 2-out single into left by Wilson Ramos. And that will get Brad Miller to the plate. And it will also get a pinch runner into this game for the Rays at first base.
Well, a 2-0 count, and Wilson Ramos goes after that pitch out over on the outer half. But boy, he's a strong guy. Hits it hard. Semien can't get there in time.
So Ramos departs, and Malik Smith will run at first.
Well, this is your guy here. Talk about covering some ground. Elite speed over there at first base, and a guy that's thrived in these situations since coming back off the disabled list.
Move to first, and Smith back in.
Direction is running for Ramos. Miller is the batter.
Brad Miller had the big hit Friday night in the opening game of the series down in Anaheim when the Rays won that game in 10 innings, 2-1. And the pitch goes into the dirt, and down to second base goes the potential tying run. Malik Smith now at second.
That right there is on Malik Smith. You saw the graphic. He has given up 7 stolen bases in 7 attempts. He's thinking an awful lot about Malik's over there at first, and he comes up with that delivery well short of the plate. He throws him right into scoring position.
Miller drove in a run with a fly ball in the second. It'll take a hit now with 2 outs in the ninth. That's low, 2-0. Danny Echeverria on deck. Smith to third. Throw down is not going to be in time, and the ball loose. Malik Smith steals third.
And you know what? With all these pitches in the dirt, why not? You've got a guy that's vulnerable to the stolen base, and he has been rattled ever since Malik Smith stepped onto the field. And boy, never stops him. Malik gets a great jump, and I'm surprised that ball got thrown because you didn't have a chance to get him. You did have a chance for that ball to squirt out into left field.
13th stolen base for Malik Smith in 17 attempts, and now he's at third with 2 outs and a 3-0 count on Brad Miller.
A wild pitch him home.
Miller takes a strike. 3-1. With 2 outs, Ramos singled, Smith running for him. 3-1 the count. You see it taking a long time, and there's ball 4. So the walk puts Miller aboard. 2 men on with 2 men out. And Echeverria will be the hitter. So the Rays and the Oakland Athletics taking this one right down to the wire. Scott Emerson out to hold this conference on the mound. Echeverria 1 for 3 with a single. That base hit came in the second inning. Echeverria, base hit into right field. The game is tied. Smith crosses the plate. Brad Miller goes to third, and it's a 3-3 ball game. 2 outs in the 9th inning, and the Rays have tied it.
2 outs and nobody on, and they have put this inning together. Base hit by Wilson Ramos. Malik Smith aggressive and active on the base paths. A walk, and then this. Echeverria stay inside it. Had a lot of room to work with over there on that right side. And he just punches it through. Didn't hit it hard, but didn't have to.
So the RBI single by Adeiny Echeverria ties this game. Shane Peterson's going to be the hitter now, with Rays runners on the corners. Echeverria at first, and Miller, who drew the walk, went first to third on the RBI single. Peterson 0 for 3 on the night. The first pitch he takes for a strike. Santiago Casilla gave up the 2-out base hit, then the walk and the single. Pitch away. 1-1.
Oh, you can see everything with Casilla change after they hit to Ramos. Malik Smith comes on board, and you could just feel it. You could sense it. The rhythm was gone.
It's outside, now 2-1. Borges on deck. And a step back.
See, when you're doing stuff like this, your confidence has left the building. It's long gone. And he'd be lucky to get out of this inning with this game tied.
Big swing and a miss by Peterson. 2-2.
Now you should be, focused on getting Peterson. This is a good pitch here by Casilla. You're starting to worry about base runners, and all of a sudden the mind has got too many things going through it.
And is low, covered up by Fegley. So we go to 3-2.
That's a job right there by Fegley. Runner down at third base. Go ahead run down at third base. Breaking ball in the dirt.
You see 31 saves last year with the Giants, 38 the year before. Now across the bay here in Oakland. And a 3-2 pitch. Swung on a line drive into right. Rays take the lead. Miller scores. Over to third goes Echeverria. And the Rays, with 2 runs home, have taken a 4-3 lead here in the 9th inning. Shane Peterson with a solid line drive into right. getting Miller home, and the Rays take the lead. That's going to be it for Casilla as the Rays celebrate this uprising with 2 outs. Call to the bullpen, brought to you by the Florida Lottery. With the go-ahead hit, the RBI, driving in Brad Miller. Here's another look.
Well, Casilla had to throw this curveball in the zone, and Peterson had seen enough of him that he draws a beat on this. Very little with the stride, just a strong swing. You see the Rays bench erupt, knowing that ball's going to get down, and that gives them the lead. And all of this with 2 outs and nobody on in the 9th inning. They've put together this little rally. You know, they may not be done yet. Liam
Hendrickson here making his 41st appearance, and it has not been easy going for him in recent appearances. Peter Borges the hitter, and a move to first. Peterson back in. Echeverria is the runner at third. Pitch is down, a ball and no strikes. Hendricks has given up 14 runs in the last 14 2/3 innings he has worked. It's a strike, 1-1.
Well, he'll end up getting out of this inning because these aren't his runs. And the Rays would certainly like to add on and give themselves a cushion.
A 4-3 ball game. Rays have taken the lead with 2 runs. All of this with 2 outs and nobody on. Peterson back in at first. Echeverria got the hit to tie the game. Peterson got the go-ahead hit. Strike. Takes the count to 1-2. Runner breaks. The pitch is wide. So Peterson safely in at second base. The count 2-2 on Borges. 2-2. And there is ball 3 low, full count. A good take by Borges to run the count all the way out.
That was a very similar pitch to what he swung and missed at against Blake Trinan. That fastball working its way down in the zone out over the plate. He's able to take that one. You learn, make adjustments.
3-2, foul back. Good enough for that fastball to stay alive and foul it away.
You know, pretty interesting too here with this Oakland Athletic bullpen, one of the worst in the league, and then all of a sudden coming into this series you trade away Ryan Madsen and Sean Doolittle, and it got thin quickly, and the Rays able to capitalize here in the 9th inning and look to even add more. Another base hit and they get a comfortable lead.
3-2 and a cut and a miss. That will retire the side, but with 2 outs the Rays rally. They score 2 to take the lead. 4-3 Rays, and on comes Alex Colomé. To the A's tomorrow with Jake Faria on the hill. Our coverage begins at 3 o'clock. Faria, after his 5th win, making his 8th start, and he will be opposed by Sonny Gray in the wrap-up game of this series and the road trip.
The Tampa number 45.
Alex Colomé.
Alex Smith is now playing.
Colomé takes over on the hill with Chris Davis set to lead off. 41st appearance for Colomé with a record of 2-3. On trying to close it out, and here's Davis. The pitch too low, 1 ball, no strikes.
You got to be careful here. Chris Davis, a lot of power. We saw that in the 1st inning. Saw it last night.
Sucre behind the plate. Colomé quickly falls behind Chris Davis. 3-0. Jed Lowry is on deck.
And you know that Chris Davis is one of those guys that's going to have a 3-0 green light. In fact, most guys nowadays have a 3-0 green light, so you got to be quality here.
It's a strike, 3-1. So Malik Smith in the game and left.
Well, he is swung around into left center field, giving up the left field line. Borges in center, shaded a little bit towards right center. You see Malik Smith way up there in the corner.
Davis fouls it away. Now 3-2. So Colomé coming back full. Rays have taken a 4-3 lead with a 2-out 9th inning rally. Swing and a miss. Boy, a great job, Colomé, after falling behind 3-0. Comes back to get the strikeout of Chris Davis.
You got to navigate yourself very carefully around that strike zone. And once he gets back to full, he goes slider. And boy, he just drops it underneath the swing. You can see Chris Davis in that head really pulling off that pitch. He's looking to lift that, try to get it out of here, and he ends up going from in the catbird seat as far as the 3-0 count goes to back in the dugout. Big out.
Here's Jed Lowry. First pitch is up to him. 1-0. Lowry walked earlier tonight in the 4th inning. Otherwise 0 for 2, fouling this one back 1-1. That's a strike on the outside corner, 1-2. Colomé faced Lowry last night and got him on a ground ball to second. And we go to 2 balls, 2 strikes. And Casilla right now, the pitchers of record. And the 2-2. Lowry is out on strikes. Back-to-back strikeouts of Davis and Lowry. 2 up and 2 down here in the bottom of the 9th.
Boy, a couple of really good 2-strike slide balls to some dangerous hitters. That one he's able to drop on the outside corner. Just that little subtle movement, kind of backed up on him a little bit, but still had some depth to it.
Here's Matt Chapman, the 3rd baseman. Well, you think about Chapman, he made that great play on the ball hit by Longoria to open the 9th inning. And before they knew it, the Rays were down to their final out with the bases empty.
Yeah, that's one of those plays that's made in that situation. You say, well, there was your chance.
Yep.
And then the next out, you're down to your last shot. You know, Wilson Ramos, a strong guy, thinking home run. Oh, you single, okay. But I'll tell you, the Rays, they continue to surprise. They just do not quit on you.
Oh, and Chapman hit by the pitch. Trying to duck it, he's hit. And suddenly a base runner for Oakland.
That looked to be a slider that just came out funny. 90 miles an hour, kind of squirts out. Let's take a look. Yeah, that's exactly what it did. Backed up and caught him right in the back of that left shoulder.
So Oakland gets a base runner. And now Matt Joyce, the former Ray, will pinch hit for Rosales. Joyce, who was in the lineup leading off last night and walked twice, went 0 for 2. will pinch hit with a man on and 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th. Ground ball to first, and right there is Morrison to step on the bag and end this one. And the Rays have a come from behind victory, down 2 outs, nobody on in the 9th inning. They rally for 2 and they take this one 4-3. Kolarik's going to get the win, his first. Casilla will suffer the loss, and the Rays have taken the first 2 games of this series. A save for Colomé, that'll be his 28th of the year, and the Rays will go to 51 and 44. And right now, a game and a half back of Boston. The Blue Jays and the Red Sox are headed into the 15th inning at Fenway, tied 4-4. For Brian Anderson and Alex Cordry, Dwayne Stats, hope you've enjoyed the telecast. We'll be with you next on Rays Live, the post game presented by WB Mason.